couple things I want to go over about the project in general, and then we're going to open it up to questions and answers. So one of the first things I wanted to mention is that, Bureau Veritas is very safety focused. And with that, we have a lot of these assessments happening in areas where there may be snow on the roof. So we are still going to need to go ahead and access the roofs and the rooftop equipment. So with that, I would say just be super careful, especially coming back down off the roof when your shoes are slippery and we got these metal ladders to climb down. Be aware of how the equipment opens so that you're not too close to the edge on these snowy roofs. Just be ultra careful. If it's icy or you feel that conditions are such that you are not comfortable getting on the roof, please give Shannon or I a call so we can talk about it and make a decision going from there. Your safety is very important to us, but we have until the end of January to get these assessments done. So chances are, if you're doing assessments in Chicago, there's probably going to be snow on roofs until spring at this point. So that is one of the first things I wanted to bring up. The second thing is, in the protocol checklist that you received, is at the very end of it is a list of people to reach out to. So I know we're sending you guys out there doing something that EMG is not necessarily known for doing. However, it's something that we feel pretty comfortable that once everybody has one or two under their belt, this is going to be pretty simple. So if you ever have any questions, there's a list of people to call for whatever obstacle you're facing. Please give us a call. The third thing I would like to mention is that we have some equipment testing that we have to do, and if you've watched the videos, you've seen that. With this, if you are traveling to a remote location, meaning you have to fly, so it's not located near your home, please do not make travel until you have received that equipment. If you have not received the equipment and you're scheduled to travel out that day, please reach out to Kim Marsden, myself, or Shannon, somebody, because the equipment is pretty critical to the success of this project. So everything is being overnighted. So those are the kind of the three things that were at the top of my head that I wanted to touch base on. Shannon, is there anything that you wanted to elaborate on before we open it up to questions?
Did you give the email address out?
I did not.
Okay. So yeah, if probably the fastest best way so that no single person is on a critical path, we made an email group called Walmart 911, WALMART 911, Walmart 911 at emgcorp.com. And there's like 6 of us on there. So whoever gets the email first will answer the question. It might be your fastest way to get an answer.
All right, awesome. So let's have it. What kind of questions do you guys have?
And one last thing. I just sent out, so the app, I'll touch on this. So this is a FileMaker app that unfortunately we were not in charge of it. We are working for a prime contractor, and we are one of the subcontractors, subconsultants to them out there collecting data, along with, I think, 2 other groups. And one of the other groups developed this FileMaker app. So it is not ours, and when it's glitchy or broken, don't blame us. But we've been working closely with the developer. Seems like a nice guy. It's kind of, he's newish at this. So we've been providing feedback based on our experience, from our AC Go and whatnot and Target. So we've been trying to implement some of those features, and he's been doing it. It's just taking him a bit. So the most current version of the app is 5.1. I just sent the instructions out on how to get that with the Evite reminder about 20 minutes ago. And the username and password, I don't think we've supplied to you before. So it's written on the invite of this meeting. But the username is EMG, and the password is capital 62 with an A, CAPITAL 62. It's all written down. We'll probably resend it. And yeah, so the best version of the app we have today is 5.1. I don't know how rigorously they've tested this thing. We've had a few of us been testing prior versions of the app the past few days. And there's still a handful of things we've been asking for that might come later in the week, but as of today, the thing kind of is what it is. So any kind of feedback on the app and stuff, we want to hear that as well. Can't promise we'll get everything fixed up, but it's kind of similar to early on in the AC Go days is how we try to go about making that better.
Hey, Shannon, it's Diego.
Hey.
Hey, the app is very straightforward. It's just different screens to AC Go. But so far, I've been able to work with no issues.
Right.
Now, I was working on the previous version. I started early this morning, so my question is: once I upload the last one, should I be worried about what I have done already, or?
No. There's no reason prior versions of the app won't work just as effectively, at least in theory. So what I would suggest is either complete your store using that app if you've kind of gotten used to it and don't think it's all terrible. But if you really wanted to, you could find a good place to stop, like maybe you just did all the rooftop stuff on that version of the app, and then you could upload that data and then use the newer version of the app to collect everything else in the store. So you can start and stop wherever you want to, as long as you remember to upload the data, kind of back to the mothership. My advice is if the app is okay and you got kind of used to it, just finish that store on that app. It'll be easier to remember, and you don't have to worry about half the data from one place and half the data from another.
I agree, that will do. And I'm with Deb, so she might use the version. So we'll see what difference it will bring.
Yep. One of the things they changed was like the search box. I think on the early version of the app, you could only search that thing. Liz is showing her screen, by the way. So the search box in the upper left corner. One of the terribly annoying things about this was, there's 450 stores here, and it's not easy to get back from your store back into the data. So you could memorize your store number there and type it in. On the prior version of the app, the newer version lets you type in a text field. So you could type in Austin, and you would get that Austin, Texas store there. Yeah, Liz just typed in PUI for her Seattle suburb thing, and it narrowed it down. I backed out of the app accidentally a couple times while collecting data, and it sends you back to the giant store list, and it was very frustrating to get back into your assessment. So that search box is huge. Do type in your name in that red box too in the upper right corner. If you'll notice, everyone got the same EMG account and password. So the only way to know who is at what store or what piece of the data is associated with which person is if you fill that in. A little bit different from our AC Go, like you said. So, and there aren't many screens, those of you that didn't really dig into the app yet. You kind of have the whole store list there, and then when you click on a store, Liz, if you could do that. Then you get a blank screen, right? Like this is the old days of asset calc. So I like the simplicity. So you have a blank canvas here, and then you just start adding items. So you click Add Item. And then those of you who worked on Target, it's kind of similar. It's funny, like I said, we didn't work on this, but they have a major category in an asset class, and some of this stuff isn't fully intuitive. Like an RTU, a rooftop HVAC unit, you might think, oh, that's exterior building. Well, it was actually under HVAC and exhaust. So it takes a little bit to get used to what components are where, but it's very critical you do that, and then you go to asset class and you define it. So rooftop HVAC unit, that's the last thing there. So RTUs it's going to be on almost every store. It's under HVAC and exhaust and that thing right there. And then once you decide that, you have to click on response summary, that blank field in the middle. That's how you start entering data about that thing. And then this is where, they're asking more questions than we're used to, right? Like our standard FCAs, you walk up to an RTU and you kind of go fair, 8 years RUL left, take a picture of the data plate and a few pictures of the outside, and you're kind of done with it. Besides make, model, serial number, of course. But in addition to those fields, we have basically what they're doing is they're asking a bunch of questions about components of the thing. And then they have some kind of algorithm running in the background that comes up with a conglomerate score. So like if you called 3 parts of this fair and 2 other parts poor, it's probably going to give you a score somewhere in the middle of fair and poor, and it's based on a number. You guys as assessors don't have to worry about any of that intelligence in the background. Your job is to just fill out what you see. And hopefully the training guide was very clear about what you're looking at with some of those fields. Now we know not everyone is an HVAC expert here, so we fully expect to see some of these questions about, when you say second record evaporator coil condition, what exactly is it you're talking about?
Those are in a different location, by the way. Those are in the refrigerant section.
Say again, Diego? I'm sorry, I'm not quite following.
The rack, all the Walmarts has a lot of rack units where condensers are separate than compressors. And
that's a different component. So that's in the rack. This is talking about the condenser associated with the RTU.
Okay, 10-4.
So you're actually, we don't usually open all the panels of an RTU, but on this job, that is part of the scope. Hopefully that was clear in the video. I do think most of these units have handles, so you just have to twist them so that they're, pointing up and you can open each door. I don't think there's any where you have to use, the hexagonal bolt opener thing to get inside. If you do run into a roof where all the units are like that, I would like to hear about it because that's going to greatly affect your productivity. A note on serial number. This was a biggie. This one slipped by me a couple times. You don't need to transcribe the serial number if you know the age of the unit. So if the thing is date stamped, it's a newer unit and it says it was manufactured in August 2010, and you can put in 2010 for the. Why am I not seeing that field? Where is that field? Oh, there it is. Manufacturer start of warranty date. So if you know that date for sure, you do not have to type in the serial number. You always have to type in the model number, but the serial number you only type in if you can't figure out the date otherwise. Also, if you know the date from the serial number, like a lot of you know from carrier units, the 3rd and 4th digit is always the year. The first 2 digits are the week. So if it says 4602, the thing was built in the 46th week of 2002. If you know that for sure, you fill in 2002 for that field that's highlighted in blue right there, and you can leave serial number blank. I know many of you are going to type it in anyway, but it's a waste of time. And if I was doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. That came straight from the horse's mouth. That field's not required. Are the required fields in Liz red? Kevin, do we know that? Is that why they're red?
We were just talking about that. I think so, yes. but it said there were 13 required fields for this item on the previous page. So it looks like if all of those were highlighted, there would be more than 13. So yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
So if you look up in the upper right corner, it says 3 of 13. That's telling you how many data fields of the set you have filled out. And then if you go back, if you hit the back button, it's going to show you your progress on that asset. Yeah, see, it says 3 of 13, and it shows you the red bar. In a perfect world, if you were done with the asset, it would say 13 of 13. Now, unfortunately, this is very annoying to us. Not every field is always required. Like a lot of times, the last field is like a comments box or red flags. So if you don't have any red flags, you're going to leave that field blank, and then it's going to tell you you have 12 of 13 fields done. So you have a couple choices. Either know that you're actually done with that thing, like for RTUs, maybe 12 of 13 or 11 of 13, you kind of know you're done. Or you could just type like an X or a period in that box, and then it'll show as complete. For those of you that have a mild case of OCD like I do, I have to type the periods in the box that say 13 of 13, so it's done. We did ask for a manual override checkbox, kind of something we have in AC Go, that you can just click the thing and it'll tell you the thing's 100% done, even though if you're not, that they weren't able to implement that particular improvement yet. Couple notes, like there, RTU1, you don't have to type in RTU, that's programmed in the back, so you can just type 1, 2, 3, 4, it assumes it's RTU. They were able to implement that request you're seeing there to the right of when you can't find the tag or get to the tag or read the tag, those kind of standardized answers, so that for model number, you can type in illegible if you couldn't read it rather than leave it blank, which causes a lot of questions. You're supposed to stick the data plate photo. Always take a photo of the assets, kind of in photo 1, which is the third photo there. Always take a photo of the data plate, just like we stress on AC Go. We have asked for the model and serial number fields to be accessible when you look at the photo. Right now, they're not. So you do have to kind of either type the model number in while you're looking at the thing, or if it has a barcode on it, like some carrier units there, you can scan it in. It does have a scanner button. Or you could type it in live, or you could take the photo and then you'd have to kind of either write it down on a scratch paper or memorize it there to go to the other field. Hopefully they get that improvement for us this week. So the barcode thing is it's over there on the right, the bottom right button. That takes you to the scanner where it says insert barcode. There is no full duplication feature. There's been a lot of philosophical discussions about this. You have an option to create something similar. So if you're on the roof doing a bunch of rooftop units, if you hit, where did that button go? There, it's that box on the right. So if you looked at item 1, Liz clicked that square on the right and you hit plus similar, it'll give you another rooftop unit, but it didn't duplicate any other data points. So you're starting fresh. They really wanted it like this because they were worried that people were going to copy assets and not change the data points. We're kind of arguing the other way. I don't know if we'll win that battle, but the way the app runs right now, you have to start fresh and answer all those questions each time you do an asset. Oh, that was kind of the high level stuff, at least from the app. I didn't want to make this should I keep going talking about the app a little more? Or should I just open it up to questions? Not sure how you guys feel with the app. It's definitely pretty straightforward. It's simple and clean, if nothing else. Online guide. They stuck in like the main PDF from their 3-hour training. Hopefully you've all watched. Liz clicked that button. So the full PowerPoint is the Walmart training rev.tjm, the thing at the bottom, that PDF. That is the PDF. That's kind of the gospel of this job. That's the 71-page training thing that they went through. Liz is also going to issue a kind of a crib sheet that's less than that, kind of highlights where these things are in the store and kind of the real meat of what you need to get to, so you don't have to go through a 71-page document. There'll be something a little leaner and meaner that gets to the point a little bit faster. All right, I'll stop with my monologue and open it up to more questions.
So since we're on rooftop units, is there any place on there that we need to put like a location factor or any way we need to identify specific rooftop units if there's 10 of the exact same unit up there?
No, I think the only thing they're going by is the tag, RTU1, RTU4. I think that's all we got.
Okay, thanks.
And they're supposed to be very well marked. I think the 4 stores we looked at, they were all, at least on mine, they were all well marked. I wouldn't be shocked if you got to one store where none of them were. And we didn't even talk about what to do in that case. My suggestion would be to take a Sharpie with you and number them yourself. Andy, what's your thought on that?
Well, my thought is these are Walmart, so you wouldn't even have to take a Sharpie with you. You could just go downstairs and buy one.
Right.
But yeah, I think if they are not marked, that's probably the way to do it. If you come across them that are not marked, you reach out to the Walmart 911 and we can check with the client to see how they want us to deal with that.
On Target, we marked up a roof map. Those of you that worked on that, that is not part of this scope. So they're not paying for it and we're not doing it.
Can I add some quick
Please.
Okay. So we have done a couple of these stores already, or at least I've just done like maybe half of one. So some things that I've noticed is if you go through and fill out an item completely and then you realize it's something else, you're going to lose that data. You won't lose the photos, but you'll lose that data. So like if I have this unit, I filled everything out and then maybe I realized that it was actually, I accidentally filled out an RTU and it's like a desiccant humidification unit. When I change that, it'll give me a confirm, which is just a check, but if you actually needed to change it, it deletes everything besides your photos. So you can see all this information is gone. So I think if I go back, it actually, no, it deletes everything. So be super wary with that.
Yes, be extra careful that you've identified the thing correctly, because you won't be able to change what the thing is without losing the data, as Liz is saying.
Yeah, and if you haven't identified it correctly, I suggest you just add a totally new line item, take a screenshot or something of your data for that one asset before, and then just you have to copy it all over into that new asset. This will probably be the big issue with like these cases. Well, actually that shouldn't be too bad. Just differentiating what's like a refrigerated case versus a like standalone thing. But some of these back, I think actually Kevin and I were talking about this. Like this is a push behind cleaner or something, but you could think maybe it was like a buffer. And a lot of these backroom equipment, like they have names like there's a pallet jack, but they all look like pallet jacks. And there's one that's like, this is a walkie or something like that. So just know that when you do change anything, it will delete everything. So I would suggest adding a new item.
Yeah, RTUs and dehumidification units, that could happen easily too. So just know if you see a Munters unit, it's slightly bigger than a standard RTU. Any Munters unit is always a dehumidification. Liz, can you show them where that is on the list there? So it's gonna be under HVAC and exhaust, yeah, and then it's just that. It's that subtle difference. So it asks some different questions.
Like this is just your typical rooftop unit. I might not even have a picture of it. Oh, I didn't export them. Oh, did my...
Yes, your screen is showing a beautiful cabin on a lake and not a rooftop unit.
Hey guys.
Where did that go? Okay, I'll get that back in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey Shannon, we got a quick question.
Yep, fire.
So I met this morning with the store manager. She want to sit and bring a lot of other issues with their equipment. One of them, for example, is not like a big issue. It's just that certain freezers were covered. Basically, this is the case. When the alarm sounds, one of them was shut down. Their LCD screen was covered with certain signals and certain signs, and so this is basically not a equipment issue per se, but where should be basically where do we have to record those issues? Because like for the training, we're not supposed to write down anything that is not really critical. So, but still, like I said, when the alarm sounds, they don't know which unit is failing because their screen were covered. So, anyhow, and then there's multiple others that are not fully related to the equipment, but there are issues for them. So, where are we supposed to record those issues?
What exactly is this associated with? Again,
Let's say the RTU shuts down, or a freezer on inside the store. So they come, of course, with the LCD screens that let them know the temperature and the unit.
Oh, so they're building control system, their BAS or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So those are, in this store in particular, for example, those are covered with different, decoration and different signs that they're telling, for example, hey, this is the groceries section, this is the meat section, these are the drink section, for example. But again, it's not like the equipment is failing, but there's a significant issue with them because when something shut down, they have to go and check every single freezer, every single unit in order to find out which one is failing. But again, where do we record this type of issues?
So the problem's with the control system, not with any particular component.
Right.
So do we have a place for a general note?
We only have the red tag section, but again, according to the training, we're supposed to write down only very critical items. But by the way, I don't know if you have noticed it, but the options that they gave are very narrow, meaning the equipment is either new, or or failing. So there's nothing in between. So
You're talking about rooftop units specifically now?
yes, let's take an example of RTUs. Yes.
Yeah, we mentioned that. They say either new or like new. We wanted a drop down choice that said like weathered, weathered but not significantly damaged, right? Somewhere in the middle of, because like you said, it's either saying new or something's broken.
Right.
So we want to add that right now. Just I guess go with new or like new. But as far as the issue you're talking about, if we don't have a general note at the store level, which I don't think we do, that was what my question was, then I just pick the first RTU you enter, and you could write in the red flags thing, say the control system is messed up. I don't know where else you would put that, but it would be nice to put it somewhere.
Right.
So I would say just pick the first thing you enter. Yeah, put it in there.
Okay.
Say the problem is not specific to this unit. It's just a general controls problem. It would be better if we could have a note at the store level and not the asset level, but we don't.
Okay. Good deal. I will let them know.
Yeah. And I'm sure our little team is taking notes here. Yeah, that reminds us that we want to add that other flavor of condition. I just noticed it on RTUs. I think most of the other stuff, they had a better gradation of, excellent, good, fair, poor, failed kind of equivalence. But rooftop unit didn't. It kind of went from good to poor.
Yeah. Okay, man. Thanks.
Yep.
I have a question in regards to how they measure the lineage. When in the training they discussed whether you would count it as 24 or 48. I'm still unclear on which way we're supposed to report them.
Yes, tricky. Liz, could you throw up that guide? This is definitely tricky. So when we have a long line of like pizza and ice cream and stuff, it's like five-door cases adjacent to each other. You just do the either the linear feet or the doors of that, the total amount of doors.
Okay, but I understood it if they are back to back, so you have a row that has them on both sides rather than up against a wall.
Yeah.
And whether or not they would count that as 12 doors, and that's only on one side. And then if it were double-sided, they would still call it 12 instead of 48. It's kind of where it sounded to me, and I wasn't clear which way we're doing it.
I haven't been 100% clear on that either. We're gonna. So the client they're giving us a Q&A twice a day for the next 4 days. We're gonna definitely re-ask this question.
I know when if they don't have a picture in here, but if you had this like bunker set up where you had an end unit and then 2 middle units and another end unit like this, I know that the length of this would be this plus just one of the middle units plus the one at the end.
That's right. I'm sure of that too. We're sure of the bunker.
Yeah.
So if that was 4 feet in the front like, there and 6 feet in the
these guys, I think they're just one if they were back to back.
I'm not sure what the island question asks you.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that long row is just the one length, right? So if it's 12 feet and if there's cases on both sides, the answer is still 12.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Andy, did you get that? Was that clear to you?
So that was my interpretation as well, Shannon. But Julie, we can reach out to the client today and just get something further clarified and get that distributed to everybody.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't think that makes sense because if that was the case, a one-sided row would be the same as a two-sided row. They would both be 12. Doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Well, I mean, I guess, Shane, I'm looking at their page 28 of that document.
Okay.
So you see, like in the middle there, on the one side, it's a 35 door lineup. On the bottom side of that, it's a 25 door lineup, and then a 25 door dairy case.
So those would be three different assets. A 35 row. So we're looking at the middle thing there.
Yes.
The top part of that would be a 35 door lineup, and then it would be a 25 door lineup and a 24 either foot or door lineup, whatever that's saying.
Yeah.
And then the things on the ends, those are always separate in those long rows of grocery stuff. Those are always separate with the double, where it says a 4-door lineup, reach-in frozen food case. We know this is tricky, and even they know we're going to get a million questions on this. So just submit your specific example if you're confused, and we'll try to guide you through it. It's a mixture of geometry and function, and like the refrigerant type. So if like one is low temperature and the other's medium temp, there's no way you can call that a separate asset, even if the two cases are abutted adjacent to each other. If they are abutted adjacent to each other and they're using the same refrigerant loop and doing the same purpose, then a lot of times that's considered one lineup.
Hey, Liz, can you go to 39 on this document, page 39? Right there. So, this is something that we've not gotten any questions on so far, but I know it's going to cause some issues. And one of the things that Tom said in the training that we do not agree with is that he said that if you don't have access to the underside of this cooler, to drill a hole. We don't want to drill holes in any of Walmart's equipment.
No.
So if you can take that kick plate off, awesome. If you can weave your wand up in there, awesome. That's the way to do it. But that is why they recommend us bringing a wire coat hanger so that you can kind of attach the end of the probe to that coat hanger and weave it up in there so it's touching the underside of that case. We're reasonably comfortable you will not be electrocuted. But that should be the easiest way to do that. Does anybody have any questions about that part of it?
So glad that you're reasonably comfortable.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
You will not be electrocuted.
And just so it's clear, you're taking one temperature reading that way per lineup, just one. The airflow readings, you got to take an airflow reading from each section. So if that lineup there was five doors abutting each other, you would take one temperature reading there for the whole 25-door configuration, and then 5 airflow readings for each 5-door section. And then in the app, you're just recording the highest number under the high and the lowest under the low.
Hey Shannon, where are we recording that at? Because I see where it's the air velocity in the app, but I don't see where it has a temperature.
Yes, let's check that out. Liz, can you go to the app?
There's an insulation check, but there it is. It's under insulation check.
Okay, cool. Yeah, full disclosure, I'm not 100% familiar with that app yet. As Andy said in the beginning, this is all kind of coming together at the last moment. Okay, yeah, so the 2 air readings. Yep, tank, wait. No, I can't see it. Yeah, where is it?
The tank bottom insulation check, about 4 down.
Oh, so they actually, I see. It's not intuitive that that's asking for a temperature when you just read the question. Okay. Oh, and they want a range, not an exact number. All right. Interesting.
Where are we taking those readings at?
Somewhere in the middle of the refrigerated line, wherever you can find a place to jam that probe in, as Andy said. So the middle's best, but if there's like a giant hole in there and it's 4 feet down, then make it easy on yourself and stick it through the giant hole. And you're supposed to touch the probe, the sensor's supposed to touch the underside of the bottom floor of the case.
I'm sorry, I should have cleared for myself. The velocity readings.
Oh. You're supposed to put that right. Yeah, is there a slide on that?
That's
Are we supposed to, we're supposed to find the discharge point, right? Did I hear that?
Yes. Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct.
That's for a different asset type class than the one that you were on. I think you were looking at the remote display case lineup, and it's only for the walk-ins or the self-contained cases. I don't think the other ones have a slot for the remote display cases. Don't have a slot for that velocity. Oh, maybe they do. I'm sorry. Disregard that.
Yeah, I mean, for the air velocity, it's supposed to be every line up the center of each case, and it is at the point of discharge. So, what other questions do you guys have? It got really quiet. That makes me nervous. Well, so I guess while you're thinking of questions, let me tell you one more thing. So, the way the schedule was built, the client has told us that every super Walmart will take about 2 days, and that might be a combination of 2 people on site for 1 day, or in more remote locations, it will probably be 1 person for 2 days. And then the Walmart Marketplace and standard Walmart stores will take closer to a day, maybe up to a day and a half. We have built every store in as a 2-day site visit. So that will give everybody a little bit of flexibility. We don't have defined start and stop dates or times. So, as you are finishing one, if you wanted to get jumped on the next, you could go ahead and go right to it. If you're running behind on the other, you can show up later in the day. There's a lot of flexibility in the way the schedule was built out.
Yeah, good point. So they want us to stick by week. So, but they don't differentiate which days of the week. So if your project work plans say do the stores Monday through Friday, A, B, C, D, E, but logistically you look at it and it makes sense to do it B, D, C, A, E or whatever, you have full power to do that. Just be sure if you're with another person that you're on the same page of where you're going and when. If you're flying solo, you kind of have full freedom to do it the way you would like to. If you do run into a situation where you can't get all your stores done in a given week, that's something we got to know about really quickly.
Hey, Shannon, sorry, man. I don't know if we missed it or what, but going back real quick to the refrigerated cases, we are supposed to take temperatures on every single one of them?
Every lineup. But once you determine what a lineup is, you have to take one temperature reading on it.
I thought we had to take it in all the cases. You do the high and the low values.
I'm talking about temperature, not air
I should have
discharge.
air velocity. Okay, yeah.
Air velocity is done in every section. Temperature is just 1 per lineup.
1 per lineup. Does that make sense, Diego? Are you following that?
Liz, can you show a picture of the schematic again? The schematic of the lineup. Yeah, so the thing in the middle, or the thing at the top, 38-door lineup, reach in, French fry, frozen food cases. You would take one temperature reading for that whole long line of things. But each section there would need an air velocity reading. So there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 air readings everywhere you're seeing a vertical line. But just one temperature reading for the whole thing.
And you determine a section based on, like, it'll be individually broken out, like there'll be a barrier between one section and the next. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's usually, if you look at the outside closely, you can see like where the things are welded together. Or if you're looking at the data plate stickers, like a lot of times they'll be at the top on the left. Each section will have its own data plate sticker, so that's how you can tell where it's splitting.
Okay.
You'll get used to it. It's all this stuff is overwhelming. Once you do like 3 stores, your muscle memory will take over. It becomes almost more of a physical exercise than a mental one. So we know the first couple of these you do are going to take longer and be a little frustrating till you get yourself figured out. Same on this end. Yeah, so like there, that configuration there, you would need that's 2 assets, the empty meat cases on the left and the wait, are they saying that's one thing or 2? I'm not reading the whole thing. There you go. There's a good definition. A contiguous or near contiguous group of cases of the same make, model, date of manufacture, and use. Now, that's not 100% true. That's more of a guideline than a black and white rule, because if there's a 4-door case aside of a 5-door case, they're going to have slightly different model numbers. Like one's going to say 4 NPR and the other says 5 NPR. The first number is the door and the number of doors. If the only thing different on those things is the number of doors, you can add that to the configuration, as long as everything else is kind of the same. If it's a completely different manufacturer, like say they I don't know why they would do this, but they hacked away the middle section and changed a Tyler case to a Hill Phoenix, then you would have to change that to different assets. Again, we know there's going to be weird specific things that happen with your particular situation. If you're not sure, take some quick photos and send them to an email to Walmart 911, and we'll get you our best answer.
Shannon, what's that Walmart 911 email address? Is it at emg.com?
Yep. So yeah, WALMART 911 at emgcorp.com. Well, I'll send that out another email. I'm trying to. We always have this problem, right? Of materials and different stuff is trickling in, and we want to get it out to you, but we try to get them in as few packaged emails as possible, because when you guys get 13 different emails from 4 different people, we know how that works, trying to get all your material together. We probably should create a Teams page on this too, right? And let's get everything slapped on there.
Liz, could you jump to page 37 and 38 of this PDF? There we go. Could somebody walk me through what we're doing here? Where we have to? I'm a little confused in this section. Could somebody explain it to me?
Andy, do you want to take this, or do you want me to do it?
Sure. No, I can take that, Andy. So what we're doing is we have to check the bottom of the cases. Like it says, we're looking for corrosion, defects, damage, but not to be confused with dirt or filth or just general grossness. So one of the things you got to do when you start doing these is get a shopping cart so that you can take all of the product off of the bottom shelf. So because of that, we have a little bit of flexibility of where we do this at, because obviously it makes more, maybe it's not obvious, but it makes more sense to do it where there's only one type of product on the bottom shelf so that you know exactly where things go back. And hopefully you're doing it on a shelf where there's limited product and not stock full. So you're taking out the product, you're removing the rack, and you are checking the bottom of the case just for any rust, corrosion, damage, anything that looks like it would impact the functionality of that piece of equipment.
So in this image, have they taken a panel off of the bottom, or is that just what's going on?
Yes.
So we need to unscrew a panel from the bottom?
I don't think you need a screwdriver, but you're going to have to take out, find the section of the thing, preferably the middle, that has the least amount of product on it. Like maybe there's just one pizza box. You're going to have to take the pizza box out. When you do this, you're going to have to take a shopping cart with you. Very annoying. Throw the pizza box in the shopping cart, and I think this thing just pulls out. I hope.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like it just pulls out. In most cases, Andy, it sounds like it's a solid pan. A solid piece of metal that will need to be removed.
Okay, and we're doing one of these per row, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, same as the temperature. One of these per lineup.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. First choice is closest to the middle as possible. Second choice is wherever there's the least stuff you have to move around. If there's 15 turkeys in the middle and one Ben & Jerry's ice cream at the left, I'm moving the Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
There was another step to this, just to jump in. To the right, there's the evaporator coils and the fan, and they were instructing us to actually unplug the fan and see if we could. I think that they just wanted us to look past it to see whether or not we could see anything of concern or note in that little covered like plenum area. I don't know if you guys got any other a different interpretation of that.
I had the same, just to look through fan opening. So I think you're right.
Yep, that sounds familiar. They wanted a better picture. See how they have that arrow pointing to that's a fan that was cut off from the photo.
The way that I understood it, we are supposed to turn that fan off so that we can put a flashlight through it to see inside for corrosion.
Right, yeah, I believe that's what they said on the call. So there should be like down below where the wiring's at, there probably is a little, white connector or something that runs directly to that fan, and you can just unplug that. It's probably a low voltage fan. Don't stick anything else in there, but.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what the optical effects will be, but if the fan's spinning fast enough, like I guess when you might be able to see through it. Maybe when you shine the light, you don't. I don't know how the science on that's going to work. Well, I had another random bit about the identifying the cases. If it's not clear, like what the tag is on those, a lot of times they have a plate mounted to the bottom of these things. It says like LCD-A. I don't know what exactly the acronym is. LCD-B. So when you record the lineup, that's what they want you to type in, like LCD-A-E, if it's sections A through E. I don't know if we have a good photo of. There we go. That's exactly it. So that corresponds to the refrigerant loop. So that's tied to a compressor in the rack, so they know what compressor is feeding which refrigeration loop. So that probably says like medium temperature or something or other, I'm guessing. So that's kind of the equivalent of, everyone that's used to RTU4 or AHU6.
I don't know if they brought this up in the second training, but the way to tell the self-contained refrigeration cases is that they won't have one of those on them, just like the lineups will have those. It'll also be a little bit fancier.
Yeah, and you get the sense that there's no pipe connected to it. If you can see pipes connected to the others, it's kind of a thing you could take away. It might even be on wheels. It seems more portable and standalone. And the heat rejection components are either on the top of the unit or in the back of the unit. It's kind of like your refrigerator. So it's rejecting the heat right into the space as opposed to going through a loop and the heat getting rejected through the rack that's on the roof or at grade level. I'm sorry, through the condenser. And a lot of those self-contained units are out of scope too. I don't know if this was clear, but a lot of times there's a pet thing over off in the pet section. That's a self-contained unit that's owned by whoever. So that Walmart does not own that, and it's not part of scope. And all those little Pepsi and Coke impulse purchase things that they strategically place in the checkout line, those are typically not owned by Walmart either. And a lot of times, you can just tell. They have branding all over them. There's usually a sticker on it that says owned by PepsiCo or something. That stuff is out of scope. Do not get it. Same as McDonald's kitchen equipment. Or even the walk-in. There might be a walk-in that the McDonald's uses. It's totally associated with McDonald's. You guys don't need to go in there. Pharmacy also, stay out. Even if there's a little refrigerator in there for medicine or something, it's not part of scope. And that's another thing that'll come with doing a store or two. You'll get real fast where this stuff is, where you're going, where you're not going. The first time you do this, you might be in the clothing department trying to make sure there's nothing back there that there isn't.
Hey, Shannon.
Yep.
What about subways, banks, nail places, cell phone repair stores, those type of things?
Out.
Okay.
Yep. It's mostly going to be the refrigeration is going to be near the center of the store, one end. And then the back of house area is going to be, there's going to be walk-ins back there. There's going to be, and then that weird stuff too, like the buffers and the forklifts and the balers. I did want to make a general statement here. We definitely want to collect all the assets, everything that's in scope we want to get. But just know, as far as from the client's perspective, they are most concerned about the HVAC and refrigeration stuff. That is the core competency of this assessment. It's the thing they care most about. So if you're going to spend extra time, spend it on the rack, on the refrigerated cases, on the rooftop units. That's the stuff they really want accurate. The other stuff is kind of icing on the cake, right? It's okay, since you guys are already there, check out our electronic carts. But don't shortchange the HVAC and refrigeration stuff.
I actually have a question. So those refrigeration racks, did we ever find out exactly? They said to assess part of it, you needed to like put your hand on a subcooler or something. Did we ever get explanation as to what that is or pictures?
They said they were going to fill out the training material a little bit more robustly, but since we just got this, I didn't get a chance to look through it all, so I don't know if that is the case or not. So we need to check out that attachment a little bit closer, and if not, that's a great thing to bring up on one of these Q&A calls we're going to have with the client.
I'm not seeing any photos in there for the racks.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another.
It does not seem so. So yeah, let's ask that later. We'll probably issue, like I said, we'll either develop a Teams page with a running list of stuff. One thing we did on Target that worked well is we had a frequently asked question handout, and we just kept adding to it.
Hey, Andy,
Yes, sir.
with the coat hanger,
Yep.
what are we doing with that? And can you explain that a little bit more?
You are basically just using the coat hanger, Josh. You're creating like a little neck or a hoop or loop so that you can attach the end of the probe and guide it up through the front of the case to touch the bottom of the underside of that cooler.
Okay.
So it is just to use as a guide. You know, they have said you could use a brake line or a welding rod. I think a coat hanger is probably easier to get and to transport. So that would be my suggestion.
All right.
I'm going to piggyback a question on that. I just got my delivery of equipment like 5 minutes ago, and I'm plugging through it. The Velcro temperature sensor. What is the game plan with that guy?
So Shannon, Liz, Kevin, I don't have the equipment, Andy, so I'm not able to answer that question, but maybe somebody else who has equipment can answer that.
We have different probes. Liz and I bought equipment. I think Shannon has. I'm not sure which one Shannon got. Shannon, did you get the one with Velcro? Because ours don't have that. Ours are just wire probes, but I think you should be able to slip the wire out of the Velcro.
I have a wire probe as well. It came with it. I got an additional Velcro temperature probe.
Yeah, I don't know that you necessarily need that.
Okay.
You will need that for anything. It probably wouldn't hurt to bring it.
Something I missed that would need that that we strap against something, or
I don't think so, right?
Probably not, Andy. I just got crazy on Amazon and made sure we had everything.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't insane.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Andy, that's a pipe wrap, usually for big time, 6-inch pipes. So I'm going to try to strip out the Velcro and see if I can use it to probe up in.
Okay, so what other questions do you guys have at this point?
We know there'll be more once you get out there. We know this.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and reach out to the client and get answers to everything that's been asked so far today. So hopefully we can have it to you before tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you guys take that phone with you all the time.
Yeah, I know it seems overwhelming right now looking at all this, but I think once like we said a couple times, once you get a store under your belt, or a couple stores, it's not. I don't think it's as complicated as what Tom's training material or his training videos made it seem like the other day.
Right. They were comprehensive, and we appreciate that. But most of the exercise, you're going to be in various modes, kind of, right? Like you get there, you're like, okay, it's warm in the morning, and it's going to get colder in the afternoon. I'm going to go to the roof first, or maybe it's going to be vice versa. And then you're going to get on the roof, and you're going to get in rooftop unit mode. And then you don't have to think about all of this at any one time. You just focused on that small piece of it. The refrigerated cases are definitely, I see that as this is the hard part. That's that slide right there, where you have to go through and you have to determine where exactly a lineup is starting and ending. And I hope I think it's 80% of the time, I think it's going to be fairly straightforward. And then you just got to get in the habit of taking that temperature reading and taking the case off the bottom and looking for corrosion, and then taking the 5 or 6 airflow readings per. That's going to be the time consuming and part of this. That in the rooftop units is going to be time consuming too. And depending on your weather, a nice 50-degree day, that's going to be a fairly pleasant exercise. If it's 20 degrees and windy, not so much. That's why we really wanted that ability to take a photo of the data plate and then go down and sit at the McDonald's in the store and enter some of that data, as opposed to doing it while you're standing on the roof. But you are going to need to open the sections and at least take a quick look inside each compartment.
Hey, Shannon.
Yep.
For photos of that equipment, if it's just a normal unit, no major issues, we're just a photo of the nameplate, photo of the unit.
Fantastic question, Eric. Always take a photo of the unit, kind of that good orthogonal view of the unit and of its data plate. That's always. Beyond that, only take more photos if something is wrong. So something's rusted, broken, damaged, missing. Those are the kind of photos you want. If the components are in good shape, don't take photos of them. That's a great question.
Okay, thanks. Good.
For proving how did Tom say it? Proving the positive or proving the negative. Deficiencies only beyond asset and data tag.
Hey, Shannon, what about the measurements? There's no need for pictures of us doing any measurement, at least one?
No, they're going to have to trust the readings. Don't take a photo of yourself taking a reading or of the thing itself. Yeah.
Shannon, another question on rooftop units.
Yep.
On the video, he was talking about the condenser section of those package units, and there's only supposed to be like a sample size of, like each corner of the building kind of thing.
Yes. Another good question. So they wanted one sample per row. Liz, can you show a photo of a roof? So basically, there's going to be units kind of lined up along the north wall, kind of lined up closest to the east wall, south wall. One of those per perimeter wall, and then one from an interior unit. So five of those samples is enough.
Liz, page 51 of the PDF will get you there too if you want.
So for that respective rooftop unit, we're going to have a few more checks for like 5 of those 20.
Exactly.
And extra pictures then? Or not, only if there's problems?
I'd say only if there's problems again, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there would be like one on the left, one on the top, one on the right, one on the bottom, and then one in the middle. And that's actually a real good example because I think that store is one they brought up. It used to be a regular Walmart, and they made it bigger into a super Walmart. They probably added that piece of store on the bottom that has a different roof. So in a case like that, just be sure one of the samples is on the different phase of the building. I think they stress too to shut off the RTUs when you open the compartments. The Munters is going to shut off automatically as soon as you open it. That's how they're built. But for that unit at the top, if you want to flip the disconnect to off while you open it up, it's a good idea. Just please remember to turn it back on when you close it all up. And another thing too, I think one of those questions asks you if the supply fan is running. Those of you that are doing these in the colder places, the supply fan is almost never going to be running. So don't be shocked when that's your response. Anything else from anyone? Like I said, we know we're trying to be a little proactive here with this session. We know we're going to get a flood of stuff when you guys get out into reality starting tomorrow.
And Shannon, maybe what we can do is
Calendar for tomorrow.
Another one of these at the end of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we should schedule maybe even every day to start, maybe every other day.
Yeah,
we'll have them a little more frequently at first, and then they'll get less frequent. On a job like this, it's always the first few days is kaboom, and then the machine starts running, and then it gets self-perpetuating and less questions.
The list of on-call individuals, do you prefer, if we're out on a rooftop or I guess wherever, and we have a question on an item or something, do you prefer an email sent out texting you with those phone numbers you gave us, or how do you guys want to handle that protocol for questions in the field?
I think that if it's something, Eric, that where it's not time sensitive or as critical, then the email is preferred. If it is something where you're looking at something right then and you need help, or if you are struggling with the app, call or text any of those numbers that were provided to you.
Okay, thank you.
Could somebody who did one of the pilots, Kevin or Liz or maybe Shannon, if you were out, give a kind of rundown of like getting started and what that looked like and getting in contact with people and how the process worked in terms of getting access to things and who, like if they were expecting you, what pushback, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to my store. It was pretty straightforward. it was scheduled for me. I showed up. I asked for the assistant manager. They were aware that I was coming, so I don't know that we can always count on that. But they were very accommodating. Got me in the back room. I was able to access every area that I needed to. I can't guarantee they're all going to go that smoothly, but the people from Baseline and City did say that their assessments kind of follow the same pattern. Most of the people they said were very receptive and open to. They were aware of what was going on and they were totally accommodating. So I hope they're all going to go like that. And as far as like restricted areas, the only place that you're going to have to get to that might be a little chaotic or where you might be in the way is going to be probably those back rooms. Obviously, you know, if you're opening up refrigerated cases in the middle of a busy shopping day, like there are going to be people pushing their carts around you. But the back room, you know, there's constantly stuff going on, trucks being unloaded. So you just kind of got to navigate around that. But it's really logistically, it really wasn't. I don't think it's going to be a giant challenge. They have people coming in and out of those stores pretty frequently, I think, looking at all sorts of stuff. So they're used to it.
Yeah. So mine was pretty similar. Mine was like a super Walmart, so it had the deli and the bakery as well. So I know in that area, when I had walked back, I wasn't wearing a hairnet, and someone immediately was like, "You need to put this on." So just be aware of that. The people that I met with on site, they were like, "Oh, you're wearing a badge, okay? Like, just go walk around, do whatever you need to do." So they were super, like Kevin said, used to people being there. You do need a manager to need a key to check all the back of room equipment because you have to check the hours on there, turn them all on. And besides that, it wasn't really, it didn't seem really like high security, or they didn't have anyone just like watching you the whole time or anything. Yeah.
Okay, and you guys just wore your EMG badge, even though we're supposed to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Works for me. Thanks.
All right. Well, I guess if nobody has any other questions, we'll schedule a call for tomorrow, probably at some point. Invite everybody on this call again. Answer any additional questions, and at some point over this evening or before tomorrow morning, hopefully we have some answers for the questions that were raised today. So with that, I think that's it. Good luck, everybody. Have fun at Walmart in holiday shopping season.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy.
No problem at all. We appreciate everything. Feel free to reach out with any other questions, comments, or concerns.
Yep. See you guys.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.